Hey. So today, all right. So the first topic is covering Keir Starmer of the UK has resigned. He has decided to resign from power. In fact, Digny can give us a little more context because Digny actually lives in the UK. Which
Yep.
I'm going to pull
Yes,
up the source, but while I pull up the source,
Yeah,
go
it's
ahead
all
and
right.
give your perspective. So what's your thoughts on Keir Starmer stepping down? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think it's deserved? Do you think he's a traitor? What's your thoughts as someone that lives there? Because I personally don't like him, but you know more about the UK than I do. So you
He's
may have.
definitely not a good leader. However, he's not gone yet, right? This isn't the first time he has been pressured into resigning. It does feel like now would be the best time for him to resign, but from the sources I'm looking at currently, he hasn't stepped down yet. He could over the next couple of days. Of course, you've got the sitting US president saying that the UK Prime Minister will resign. I'd like that to be the case, but I also know that Keir Starmer is a man who will not jump. He will have to be pushed.
Yeah, he's not a guy that just. He's not a guy that just runs away often. Like he likes to stick his bullshit till the very end. So we'll see. Apparently, he's supposed to step down. They say Monday, so tomorrow. So we'll see. But it's like I wanted to cover because it's like a lot of people are telling me that they're actually happy about it, and that's the thing. Because that's the thing. Keir Starmer has brought nothing but despair and sorrow to the UK. So before we go ahead and give a full perspective, let's read the source. So this is from Los Angeles. Things are going to get worse before they get better. This is from Donald J. Trump, the sitting U.S. president, which, hot take, I wish he would resign, but then that means D.D. Vance has to take over. So reality, we're fucked either way. But Keir Starmer will resign. But here's what Donald Trump says about it. Keir Starmer will resign as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He failed badly on two very important subjects: immigration and energy. Open North Sea oil. I wish him well, President Donald J. Trump. So it seems like that. So Donald Trump has alleged that Keir Starmer is resigning. Jim Crow, do you think that Keir Starmer will resign, or do you think he? Because I think he will. Because it's like I feel like he's getting pushed enough because there's so many riots, so many protests, so many people that are demanding him resign, and the people that are controlling his strings don't want the party to be crushed because he's part of a political party. And if Keir Starmer continues to lead and continues to take the political party's reputation, then the whole party will look bad. So do you really think he's going to resign? And if he resigns, what do you think the real reason is?
Well, if he is going to resign, he's going to have to be pushed. He's going to have to be threatened, most likely by his replacement, who won a by-election by quite a good margin recently, Andy Burnham. And the main difference between Keir Starmer and Andy Burnham is that Keir Starmer is a robot and Andy Burnham isn't. Their politics are very similar. It's just one is a politician and the other one's a legalist, right? And good football game you're playing back there. It's nice to get an inside report on how well things are going. But I just want to make this very clear. I think it was a few months ago, Triton, a quarter of the Labour Party, which is the party Starmer leads, rose up in revolt against this man and got put down. The equivalent, nice DMs, by the way.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Fuck.
The equivalent would be, say if a quarter of the Republican Party rose up against Trump, right, and said, we're not going to support you anymore, resign, or we'll just leave. Well, that's what happened with good old Keir and good old Labour, and he's still around. The difference between then and now is that there is a leader in waiting in Andy Burnham, who won the by-election, who's now an MP. You can only be a leader of a national party by being an MP, a member of parliament. So now they're all going to rally behind Burnham and force Starmer.
Yeah, but
out.
is Andy Burnham gonna crack down on the main issue of the UK, which is mass immigration?
Of course not. Of course not. All he will do, and this has been done in politics before, all he will do is remove some of the crazier, unpopular measures that Starmer's put in place, like a social media ban for under 16s, or certain rules and regulations around hate speech laws. He'll get rid of very unpopular measures, and then he'll gain a popularity boost and use that as a basis, in my view,
Basically, like Trump.
to call an election and win it. Right? Now, I don't know if he's going to do that, but Andy Burnham, many years ago, was part of a government led by a man called Gordon Brown. And Gordon Brown took over from Tony Blair, you know, that fucking war criminal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people were telling Gordon Brown, you got to call an election. You got to call an election. You need your own mandate. He decided not to. He decided to wait until his predecessor's term came to an end in 2010 and then run for an election. And he lost that election. Every single prime minister who has entered office in the United Kingdom that hasn't gained a mandate of their own as soon as they get in loses the next election, because people realize that a prime minister without a mandate of their own should not be prime minister.
Could there be a general election soon? Liam Gordon UK has asked.
It could. It's a big risk, right? It's a big risk because, say, Burnham replaces Starmer, right? Just say tomorrow, Burnham's the new leader. He's the new prime minister. Andy Burnham will be in power until early May of 2029. So he'll have just under 3 years in office, right? So he can be in power for the next just under 3 years with a very big majority, because all the party will support him because he got rid of an unpopular guy, right? Or he can take a risk, call an election for next May, or maybe call for an election at the end of the year, and then risk losing, but gaining an extra few years and having a 5-year term until, say, 2032 or 2033, right? He has to weigh up that decision, but I can tell you for a fact, if Burnham does not call an election and tries to drag things out until 2029, he will emulate a man he worked for in government, in Gordon Brown, who took power from Tony Blair in 2007, stayed in government for a few years until 2010, and then lost a general election. I don't think Andy Burnham will replicate the mistake of a person he worked with, he was an underling for all those years ago. But I don't know, man. Look, I'm just giving you what I would do if I was in Burnham's position. This is the most popular I'm going to be. Getting rid of Keir Starmer is going to make me very popular in a short period of time, right?
And it gives him a longer term because, like, he could stay to 2032 versus 29 if he were to lose in 2029.
Oh, I think Labour are guaranteed to lose in 2029, in my view. The issue is, though, right? If Burnham gets rid of Starmer and then is like call an election, he can create this narrative that his Labour Party is not the same as Keir Starmer's, right? So there isn't this incumbency, right? There is no incumbent under that scenario. So he can position himself as an outsider, despite the fact that the Labour Party has been in government. He'll try and say that the reason things have been going wrong is not because of the Labour Party, it's because of Keir Starmer. It's because of his unpopular policies.
He's basically going to put all the blame of the party on the Keir Starmer.
Yes.
Just
And
he could trick the base to keep voting for the party.
This has worked in the past, guys, right? When Keir Starmer himself replaced Jeremy Corbyn, he reconstructed the Labour Party by saying the reason we lost was because of Jeremy Corbyn. The reason we lost was because the Labour Party was too left-wing. And Burnham could end up making the same argument. And the Labour Party will back him and say to all the people that the reason we're in dire straits is because of Keir Starmer and his team. So if Burnham replaces Starmer, what's Burnham going to do? He's going to sack everyone around Starmer because he has to. Because he has to convince people, whether rightfully or wrongfully, that the problem wasn't the party, it was the people running it. And I honestly believe, guys, right, that it would work. Because Farage and Reform have peaked. You've got these new kids on the block in Restore under Rupert Lowe that are taking support from Reform. And you've also got a disorganized opposition in the Tories who are feckless. And the Liberals and the Greens, they have core support, but they're not going to get enough to make a difference. So the opposition are divided, right? Starmer is feckless and useless, right? So this could be Burnham's chance.
Most people want a far-right party, not me.
What was that?
I was reading a chat from Lee. He says that a lot of people, and it is true, a lot of people in your country want a far-right party, but apparently he doesn't.
I mean, they do. In the United Kingdom, I'll tell you this, guys, right? From a UK perspective, there are more left-wingers in the UK than right-wingers, which is why it would make more sense for the right to have one party and for the left to have multiple.
Explains why they're so messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you guys, right? In British politics today, there are 6 main national political parties. 3 of them are left-wing, 3 of them are right-wing. There are also 3 regional parties for Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
Mm-hmm. 3
of those, so all of them, are left-wing nationalist parties because they're all anti-English, right? So there's the context for you. So in a sense, you've got 9 political parties in the United Kingdom representing 60% of the population which are left, while you have 3 political parties which represent 40% of the nation that's right-wing. But you have to understand, guys, it's not popular vote that wins elections in the UK. It's seats won. There was a situation, guys, where UKIP, back in 2015, that was the last party Farage ran, got 12.5% of the national vote. A lot of people. Just over 3 million people, I think. They only got 1 seat, and that 1 seat was from a conservative defector, so technically they didn't get any seats. You can gain, from my calculations, guys, you could gain upwards of nearly 4 million voters in the UK and not get a single fucking seat. You get hundreds of second places, but you wouldn't get a single one. Because we don't abide by a popular vote. We abide by whoever gets the most votes in a constituency wins. Just like in your guys' part of the world, right? Whoever gets the most votes in California, they get California. It's the same premise, in a sense. But instead of 50 states, we do it along 650 constituencies. So they do
it based on the electoral college here, and UK has a similar system where it's like electoral votes for like certain districts.
Yeah. In a sense, the constituency votes for the MP, and the MP, who is of one party or another.
I pulled this up because you know what? It's crazy too. It's like even the Muslims are tired of Keir Starmer because this is one of the most pro-Muslim accounts, and he's celebrating Keir Starmer resigning and giving multiple different reasons. So it's like the same Muslims, the same people that Keir Starmer allows to go into the UK illegally and take over and fucking commit all those crimes are the same people when he's about to resign are celebrating. It's like See, that's how you know it's like politics is just a clown show. They're all doing it for a grift because not even the foreigners that you're supposedly pretending to care about you. It's not genuine.
You see, the Muslims and the minorities, right? The ethnic minorities were pushed out of labor for the most part when Corbyn was deposed, right? Because Corbyn, he's an old left winger, he's an old socialist, right? He wouldn't last 5 seconds in the United States of America. Jeremy Corbyn talked and negotiated with terrorist organizations to try and make peace with them. And he, in his election in 2017, when he ran against Theresa May, he got more votes than Keir Starmer did in 2024. Just to let you guys know that. But because the entire right united behind Theresa May won and beat Corbyn. And Boris Johnson doubled down on that against Corbyn in 2019 because the right was more united back then than the left was. But the problem is now is that politics in the US is so fragmented that there's no chance with where it's currently at. There's no chance of one party being in power in 2029. Let's say Keir Starmer somehow fucking survives. Let's say he purges everyone in his party who's against him, right? Every one of them. And he stays on until 2029. No one will get a majority. And that means a coalition. That means backroom deals, right? Under that scenario, Starmer could build a coalition with left-wing parties and stay in government. That's what he's banking on. So there you go.
There you go. All right. So I want you, because he makes a lot of talking points. Since you actually live in the UK, you could be a fact checker for all of this stuff.
Sure.
So first point is, so Adam says that, let's recap his 2 years of selling out. So he's accusing Keir Starmer of selling out, which that's the thing. Let's be real. It's true because he's sold out, but let's see what he says. So he says, one, won the largest labor majority in a generation, a historic mandate, the country in his hands. This part is true, right?
No, it's absolutely true. Absolutely.
Appointed Peter Mansell, Epstein's man in Britain, as his first major hire.
Yep, that's true too.
And this guy was confirmed working with Epstein.
Yep.
So
not just working with him, but being friends with him. And Peter Mandelson, folks, was the same man, right? The same campaign guy, media guy that helped Tony Blair get elected, right? All those years ago. And Tony Blair was, in a sense, Keir Starmer's role model. So he was like a big name, Peter Mandelson. And Mandelson worked with Epstein for many, many years. So, yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely accurate.
Seems like Keir Starmer was also responsible for the Epstein cover-up as well.
That explains a lot.
Because that's the thing, because it's like all these world governments, like even though like Keir Starmer, Trump, they all say they hate each other, it's weird that they all are connected to the same shady people. It's weird that all these world leaders across the world all have connections to Epstein. It's just really fucking weird. It just shows you that world jewelry and that Epstein had a big blackmail train and he has a lot of government. He had a lot of governments under his wing. So next bullet point is crackdown on Palestinian protests and civil liberties.
Starmer has cracked down on all forms of protests in the United Kingdom, not just the Palestinian ones. He has cracked down on left-wing.
So this one's a half-truth then.
Well, it is in that of itself truthful, but it leaves out wider context. It is possible for something to be true within a certain context. It's true within its own context, but it's not as true in the wider context. The wider context would be crack down on protests and civil liberties, not just Palestinian protests, but also he's also
he cracked down on the whole Tommy Robinson thing. We
Yes.
covered that a while back, where he tried to say they were all right-wing Nazis.
But Starmer has also cracked down on pro-Jewish protests, especially the ones in Salford after I think it was a Jewish kid got killed in Greater Manchester. And the Jewish community protested, and Starmer's
He's just basically anti-protest and cracked down on all the
That's why everyone despises him. He's not, in a sense, Starmer's not a politician. He's a legal man. He's a legalist, right? So he looks at it from the letter of the law. So if you don't green light your protest to your nearest court, it's an illegal protest, and we're going to clamp down on it. That's how it works. It's the letter of the law. It's not right, but that's how it is.
Backed every war, backed
here
genocide.
In the U.S., you're allowed to protest as long as you don't disrupt the public.
Yeah, you know what's crazy about that, Torrin, is no one got arrested for the BLM riots. Not a single person.
Exactly, because there was a bias there, because these retards did it in blue states. I can almost guarantee if it were a red state, they'd get their heads blown off.
Well, one thing I can say about Keir Starmer's Britain is that man, everything he's doing is perfectly legal. And he will beat you in any fucking court system. Because that's where he comes from. He comes from a legal background.
He basically knows how to manipulate the law to his favor.
Exactly. He backed every war, backed genocide. He's backed the war between Russia and Ukraine. He's backed the war between the war. The Israel situation is not a war, because a war implies resistance that amounts to retaliation. Let's face it, guys, right? Israel's war against the Palestinians, Israel's war against Hezbollah and Lebanon, not wars, because war implies that your enemy can fight back in a way that can actually damage you. So, yes, Starmer has backed every war. He has backed genocide. He has backed ethnic cleansing.
And that's
absolutely true.
That's the thing, too. It's like, I've seen so many of these fake news stories of them saying Netanyahu will be arrested if he enters the UK. It's like, you really think Keir Starmer's going to do that? If so, why would he back his genocide? It doesn't make sense. It's just rhetoric to trick people, because they know that Netanyahu's controversial. They know they can get into people's of the mind, so they're going to say shit that's not true. Raise taxes, which I already know that's true, but you can confirm it.
That's true of every left-wing leader.
I mean, that's true of even the right-wingers, Trump's raised, everyone raises taxes. All these greedy politicians raise taxes, so it's not anything new. Historic unemployment.
And it's also true. Unemployment is high because, when you raise taxes, right, companies are going to be like, well, we don't have an incentive to hire people because we're getting squeezed. And also, it's easier. That's the strangest thing, right? You raise taxes on companies. Where are they going to cut their costs to get their profit despite the raised taxes? They're going to cut labor costs. So how do you cut labor costs? You hire cheap foreign labor. And that's how they do it. That's why there's historically high unemployment.
Did absolutely nothing about the law. Yeah, well, obviously, we know that part's true. Caved like a corrupt coward on abolishing leasehold.
Okay, on the cost of living thing, no political force in the West in the last 50 years has managed to deal with the cost of living crisis, okay? Because that would require monetary changes that no one seems to understand, right? No one. In regards to abolishing leaseholds, that's a housing policy, right? Basically, Starmer was going to crack down on the housing lobby that wants to jack up housing prices to increase the value of houses so they can make more money. And Starmer was going to be like, we're going to build more houses and we're going to basically smash the landlord class. He backed off from that because those same people, right?
Ooh, that sounds like someone we know in America. Cough, cough, Donald Trump, cough, cough.
Well, yeah, it's very simple though, Triton, right? And this is true of any Western company. If you build more houses, you will lower the cost of housing. So, do you know what these landlords would do? They will knock down their own housing, and then when the new houses get built, they buy it at the cheaper rate. Then they knock down more and increase the prices. So, if a government tries to decrease the cost of housing, the landlord class, because they don't just own one or two properties, folks, they own hundreds, if not thousands, per landlord, and their entire, like, massive businesses. In order to keep the cost of housing high, they'll just knock down their own houses. That's why it's one of the big problems. And the free market's not going to fucking solve that, right? It's not going to solve it.
No,
Big government intervention would solve it by stripping these landlords of their ability to lease.
Yeah,
stripping them of their assets.
You have to give them a punishment and limit them and make it illegal for them to do that. And you have to basically end the loophole they have, because what they have is a loophole. Because they could just knock down the properties and buy it at a cheaper rate and still make the cost and still sell it at a more expensive price, because they're the ones in charge of the pricing. They got to make sure they're not the ones in charge of the pricing. You got to limit, like, if you truly want the cost of housing to really go down, you have to give them like a limit of how much they can raise it up. You can't just allow them to raise it up as much as they want. You have to give them limits. You have to crack down and set rules to the landlord, because there's no written rules blocking the landlords from doing that. But if Keir Starmer, Trump, and all these leaders actually wanted to, they could just write a rule making it illegal for them to raise it at a certain price. And that way housing can actually go down, because it'd be illegal for you to raise it up to a certain price.
That's why historically in the United Kingdom, we call it housing stock. Historically, housing stock was completely nationalized because of the risk of a big landlord class. But let's face it, guys, right? Free market solutions cannot defeat the landlord class, because if you try as a government to build housing, they'll do what I said before. So of course Starmer caved. Trump not only caved on it in his own country, he told you why he caved on it. So good on him for telling you.
Keir Starmer, at least Trump told us. Keir Starmer's just silent about it. If people ask him, he's just like, huh, and walks away. It's like, at least Trump told you, this is why I don't raise it, because we need it from our wars, and I don't care about the housing market anymore. He literally said that on national TV, that he didn't care about the housing market, he didn't care about the economy, he don't care about inflation. At least he was honest as soon as he got into power and said, I don't care about that shit.
The last time property prices really fell, the Great Recession happened. The reason older generations are terrified of property prices going down is because they honestly believe from their own lived experience that adding new housing would mean prices would go down, which means the value of properties would go down, which means the value of the economy itself would go down and cause another financial crash. That's why it's kept up. There is a certain logic to it. Unfortunately, though, folks, people have to live somewhere.
Yep. And they can't, and that's the thing. It's like, what are people going to do? Just go homeless because of greedy landlords? No, they're just going to have to work with the price, and that's how the greedy landlords are able to win all the time, because people actually do rely on the landlords, especially when the landlords buy out the whole entire neighborhood.
Yep. I'm sorry to say this, because I know, Americans on this panel and very right-leaning mindset. But in all honesty, a left-wing policy would solve this issue, right? Seizing these big landlords' assets, building more housing stock, and giving more people houses to live in, right? Even if they are under...
You'd say that, but our left wing is not the same as your left wing.
Well, Do you have any Democrats saying nationalize the landlord class?
No.
The closest thing we got is
But they're
Mondani
corrupted
saying,
too, and they support that shit behind the scenes. They're a lot more sneaky about it.
and the closest thing you got to that is Mondani, the mayor of New York City, saying that he's taxing the rich.
I mean, you can tax the rich all you want, right? This is why taxing the rich doesn't work, because they'll just base themselves, like Epstein did,
There you
base
go.
themselves in the U.S. Virgin Islands, live in a tax haven, get their own island, and still operate within the United States, but with tax exemption. Or they'll go to places like Ireland or Switzerland, which are tax havens, and base their companies there. That's why taxing the rich doesn't fucking work, because they'll just leave.
There's so many other countries they can go to because there's so many countries involved with them. Like, people think that these rich people only have access in the United States. Now they have access over the whole planet. They have access to the big countries like Qatar, Dubai, Israel, El Salvador, Mexico, Brazil, Purdue, the Caribbeans. They also have access within like Asia, some Russian spots too, depending on who the person is. Because Candace Owens likes to go to Russia now and flee there when she's in controversy. So it's like that's the thing. It's like there's so many different access that these rich people have.
That's why it's better, folks, to lower your taxes. Don't encourage foreign labor, folks. Encourage foreign investment, right? That's what you need. You need foreign investment, not foreign labor. In regards to the other 2 points mentioned, if you could bring that back up,
I can. Yeah, my bad.
The 2 other points are half truths, and the reason they're half
the rolling out ID, enforced all new accounts, and ban the social media stuff.
Yeah, that hasn't come out. It's planned, right? So it should be rolling out digital ID and banning social media for under 16s. All of that under Starmer is planned for late 2026 and early 2027.
What about increased anti-Semitism education in schools? Is that like an actual I mean, let's be real. They've been doing that in America too. They've been doing it across the world. It's like it's not some big shocker. They've been doing it a lot more in Germany. Well, to be fair, Germany.
Anything to protect the Jewish lie.
Anything to protect the Jewish supremacists and also spread like propaganda and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, who do you think's behind all this leftist bullshit?
It's true. Look, one of the few things that unites the left and the right anywhere in the Western world is a dislike of Jewish people for one reason or another. It's one of the few things that can unite people, right?
But you want to know why we dislike them? It's because of people like this that fucking shove anti-Semitism down our throat, shove Jewish lies down our throat. And not only that, but if Israel didn't fucking start all these wars and have our stupid, shitty leaders back them in their fucking genocide and the wars, then I don't think the Jewish people would literally be hated as much as they are. But the reason why anti-Semitism is on the rise is because Israel keeps genociding people. They keep killing innocent people. They frame it as them killing terrorists, but then they're bombing Catholic churches, open shooting priests. When they see they're fucking wearing a cross and everything, it's like, that's the thing. It's like, there's reason why it unites people because the citizens are tired of it. But you want to know who's not tired of the Jews and Jewish supremacy? The billionaires. And you want to know why? It's because they benefit from it. They're not Jews themselves, but the reason why they work with Jews and all these billionaires are in bed with these people and our government supports them is because the billionaires benefit from them. They get a lot of the money from them. They get paid to say things that are not true. They get paid to hush certain stuff up and all that. It's like, why do you think P. Diddy, Epstein, why do you think everyone was quiet and no one snitched on each other about that? It's because they have a lot of blackmail.
Well, I can tell you this, right? With the way things are going, the state of Israel is not likely to last until the end of this century. And under that scenario, the Jews of Israel will flee to their base in the United States.
United States, Argentina, Ukraine.
I think they'll all go to the United States. And I think the reason they'll all go to the United States is to turn the United States into a greater Israel, right? And the reason why I believe that is, let's face facts, if Iran prevails, then what's to stop countries in the Middle East stronger than Iran? Countries like Egypt, countries like Turkey, even to a lesser extent, countries like Saudi Arabia, being opportunistic and striking Israel. If Iran can beat them. Because if Iran can beat Israel, then Iran will be the leaders of the Middle East. It would be like Mormons slaying the great Satan, to use a Western context, right? If the Shia can succeed where the Sunni has failed, then they will be the leaders of Islam, right? And the Muslims we have to deal with in our part of the world, guys, aren't Shias. The Muslims who commit terrorism are not Shias. They're all Sunnis. All of them. Sunni Islam outnumbers Shia Islam by nearly 10-1. But if the Shias can succeed where the Sunnis have failed, it would be like the Mormons slaying Lucifer, for God's sake, which is an apt point. The entire framework of Islam will flip on its head, and the consequences of that will be terrifying for everyone involved. Islam, by the Iranians destroying Israel, would lead to a reformation among Muslims. It'd be crazy. It would change the course of all of human history. Because if Muslims underwent that kind of reformation, it would be like when Christianity underwent a reformation, and it changed Christianity forever to get to where it is today. If Islam can do a similar thing through different circumstances, obviously, then they could really chill out, because the great Satan is gone.
Mm-hmm. And it would benefit. It would even benefit both religions, because then then it would just be a whole war between Christianity and Islam. But it's like Christianity and Islam can both expand, because that's the thing. It's like, who's the ones that are pushing anti-Christian propaganda in a Christian country? The Israelites, the Israeli media, the Jewish billionaires. These billionaires are paying mainstream media to push all these anti-Christian propaganda, make all these anti-Christian propaganda reels, and it's like Christianity. But that's the thing. It's like, if Islam were to prevail in the United States and all the Jews would come here, it would make United States a not majority Christian country, because that's what they're going to do. Because they're going to want, like you said, a greater Israel in the United States, because they don't have a Jewish nation anymore. So why not make their second nation the main nation, since the number one nation's gone? They got to go in the order. Since Israel's gone, now they got to go make the number two into a number one.
Well, that's the thing I'm going to make clear now, right? America is Israel, and Israel is America, right? America uses Israel to dominate the Middle East, and Israel uses America to dominate the world. It's as simple as that. So if the state of Israel ceased to exist, then the new Israel will be the United States, and instead of Judaism, Judeo-Christianity will conquer the world. And who will be its greatest enemies? Chinese communism and some kind of united Islamic force, right? And the only force that will unite Islam are the destroyers of Israel, Iran. So it would be Shia Islam. Because the amount of Sunnis who would defect to Shia under that scenario would be insane. I'd say the vast majority of them. But in regards to the Starmer point, right? And it's great to see folks in the chat. We appreciate you all. Liam makes an interesting comment about Reform getting in. Reform's popularity has peaked. And it has peaked largely because Farage and his cronies have abandoned his base in favor of accepting more moderate candidates from the Conservative Party, which has led to the rise of Restore. Now, for a party of only 4 months old, Restore has done very well. But let's face facts, guys. If there was a general election called by the end of the year, Restore would be lucky to get 5, 6, 7% of the national vote, right? For a party that's not even a year old, that's quite impressive. But let's face facts. If Burnham called an election, he would have a divided opposition. He'd kick out Starmer, face a divided opposition. It would be the perfect time to call a general election. Perfect time.
Now let's go ahead and because I actually want to get to the Asmongold thing, so I'm going to roast the fuck out of Asmongold. Like, I like Asmongold, but he is basically, he's kind of pissed me off with this whole, the right-wing, the hate for Israel and Jews is causing a right-wing division. It's like, I'm going to get to all that, but let's go ahead and get final perspectives on Keir Starmer. We'll start from the panel, which Jim's eating dinner, but he'll just have to give his final perspective whenever he comes back, but we'll start with Jim Crow. What's your final perspective on Keir Starmer resigning as a UK citizen?
If he doesn't jump, he'll be pushed.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. It's like, if he does resign tomorrow, that's the thing. What about you, Torn? What's your opinion on Keir Starmer resigning from the UK?
I want him to. He's ruined a lot of shit.
Yep, he did, and it would do them a lot of favors. All right, so now we get to go to the Asmongold segment. So let's go ahead and write the timestamps. Let's see. Timestamp is 5040.